There is a saying that goes, old age isn't so bad when you consider the alternative. And while that might get a chuckle, the truth is, growing older should be a time of joy, comfort, and fulfillment, not something we just endure. But let's be honest, without a few key things in place, old age can feel, well, miserable. Now, I'm not here to scare you or make you worry. In fact, it's the opposite. I want to talk about the essentials, the things that turn those later years from just getting by into truly thriving. Because you have earned it. You have worked hard, raised families, maybe even retired after decades of dedication. This should be your time. So, what are these 5 things that make all the difference? Well, let's start with the first one, because without it, everything else feels so much harder. Number 1, a strong sense of purpose. Have you ever woken up in the morning and thought, what's the point of today? Maybe the kids are grown, work is behind you, and the days start to blend together. That feeling, that lack of purpose, can drain the joy out of life faster than anything. But here's the good news. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't mean starting a new career or climbing a mountain. It can be as simple as helping a neighbor with their groceries, joining a book club or a gardening group, passing down family stories to your grandkids, volunteering at a local charity, even just an hour a week. Well, you have something that gets you out of bed with a little spark. That's purpose. It's not about changing the world. It's about feeling like you still matter in it. Number 2, meaningful connections. Let's talk about people. Because no matter how independent we are, humans need connection. And here's the tricky part. As we get older, those connections can start to slip away. Friends move, family gets busy, and suddenly loneliness creeps in. But loneliness isn't just a feeling. It's bad for your health. Studies show it can be as harmful as smoking. So what do? We reach out. And I know that's easier said than done. Maybe you have lost touch with old friends, or it feels harder to make new ones. But small steps count. Call an old friend just to chat. No big reason needed. Say yes to that community center event if you are nervous. Strike up a conversation with the cashier or the person next to you at the park. You would be surprised how many people are just waiting for someone to say hello. And those little moments, they add up to a life that feels full, not empty. Now, before we move on to the next point, let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like your body isn't keeping up with your spirit? Like you want to do things, but your energy or health holds you back? Well, that brings us to our third essential, and it's one we cannot ignore. It's funny, when we are younger, we take so many things for granted. Energy, mobility, even a good night's sleep. But as the years go by, we start to realize just how precious these things really are. And that brings me to the third essential for a happy, fulfilling life after 60. Because without it, even the simplest joys can feel out of reach. The third point is good health, or at least the best health you can manage. Now, I'm not saying you need to be in perfect shape or never have an ache or pain again. Let's be realistic. But here's the truth. When your health starts slipping, everything feels harder. Walking to the mailbox becomes a chore. Cooking a meal feels exhausting. Even sitting too long can leave you stiff and sore. But here's the good news. Small changes make a big difference. You don't have to run a marathon or live on kale smoothies. It's about these little things. Moving every day, even if it's just a short walk around the block. Eating foods that fuel your body, not just fill your stomach. Keeping up with doctor visits before something becomes a big problem. And most importantly, listen to your body. If something feels off, don't brush it aside with, it's just old age. You deserve to feel as good as possible. So take those small steps to take care of yourself. Because when your body feels better, life feels better. The fourth point, financial peace of mind. Now, let's talk about something that stresses everyone out. Money. Maybe you have saved carefully for retirement, or maybe things are tighter than you'd like. Either way, financial worries can cast a shadow over your golden years. But here's the thing, it's not about being rich, it's about feeling secure, knowing that you can cover your needs, handle an unexpected bill, and still enjoy the occasional treat without lying awake at night. So how do we get there? Simplify. Do you really need 2 cars? That big house with all the upkeep? Downsizing can lift a huge weight off your shoulders. Plan ahead. Even if it's just a little each month. Having a cushion for emergencies brings peace of mind. Ask for help. If finances feel overwhelming, talk to a trusted family member or a senior financial advisor. There's no shame in getting guidance. Money shouldn't dictate your happiness, but when you are not constantly worrying about it, you are free to enjoy the things that really matter. Now, before we move to our final point, I want to ask you something. When was the last time you did something just for the fun of it? Not because it was practical, not because it checked off a to-do list, but simply because it made you happy? That brings us to the fifth essential, and honestly, it might be the most important one of all. When we are young, we are always chasing something, a career, a family, a bigger house. But as the years go by, we start to realize something important. None of that really matters if we are not enjoying the life we have built. And that brings me to the fifth essential for a joyful life after 60. The one that ties everything else together. The ability to enjoy simple pleasures. Think about this for a moment. When you look back on your happiest memories, what do you see? I'll bet it's not the fancy vacations or expensive purchases. It's the little things. The smell of coffee in the morning, a grandchild's laughter, the way sunlight falls across your favorite chair in the afternoon. But here's the problem. As we age, we sometimes stop letting ourselves enjoy these moments. We tell ourselves we are too old for certain pleasures, or that we don't deserve them. Maybe even feel guilty for taking time to relax. But that's exactly what we need to stop doing. Because happiness in our later years isn't about grand achievements. It's about savoring. It's about letting yourself sleep in sometimes just because you can. Taking that art class you have always been curious about. Sitting on the porch with a good book and no schedule to keep. Eating dessert first if you feel like it. These small joys are the antidote to feeling like life is passing you by. They are what turn ordinary days into good ones. Let's take a step back. We have talked about 5 essentials. A sense of purpose, meaningful connections, taking care of your health, financial peace of mind, enjoying life's simple pleasures. But here's what I really want you to remember. You don't have to have all this perfectly balanced to be happy. Life isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Maybe today you focus on reaching out to an old friend. Tomorrow you might take a walk around the block. Next week you could try that new recipe you have been eyeing. Small steps, that's all it takes. Because the secret to a fulfilling life after 60 isn't about doing everything right. It's about refusing to stop living. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 essentials resonates most with you? Are you already doing well in some areas while others need a little attention? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and so do fellow viewers who might benefit from your wisdom. If this video spoke to you, give it a thumbs up. It really helps others find this content. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. We are all on this journey together, and I'd love to keep sharing tips and conversations that make our later years truly golden. Remember, growing older isn't about winding down. It's about living up to all the joy, love, and peace you deserve. Here's to making every year count. See you in the next video.